Door is right around the corner in Chicago, in an A-town like Chicago, at the Allstate Arena. And New Japan is on the front burner as well as AEW, guys.
Yeah, so we're going to welcome in. We have a special guest on this week's Good Karma Wrestling. We welcome in from New Japan Pro Wrestling, from the United Empire. He is one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions, won it just 4 days ago at Dominion. We welcome in Jeff Cobb.
What's going on, guys?
What up, bro? What's up? Welcome to GKW.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Well, we got to ask you, first of all, go ahead, Gabe, because
I was going to say, I'm the content.
This yellow pad, I got all this stuff for Jeff Cobb. You go right
ahead. Jeff, you just won, for the second time, IWGP Tag Team Championship. Coming up Sunday, June 26th, just 10 days away, Forbidden Door. I got to imagine you're anticipating you're going to eventually be on that card, right?
I would assume so. I've been tagged a lot in social media stuff about saying like FTR should put up the Ring of Honor tag champions against us. We should put up our IWGP tag champions against them. And then Roppongi Vice gets thrown in the mix somehow. I haven't been given official word, but I'm going to give you guys a little spoiler. It doesn't matter who it is because they're going to get their ass whipped to myself and the Great O'Khan. It's as simple as that.
Okay, I'm writing that down right now. So, Jeff, I need to find out from you, because we've seen your career being part of New Japan and being part of that strong style. What was your initial reaction to being in New Japan and the type of wrestling that they have? How were you able to adjust?
Well, it was definitely a big difference coming from mainly doing indies to my first tour of New Japan. Up into, I think it was 2017, Tag League was my first I guess tour with New Japan. And up until that point, pretty much I was just doing indies every weekend, like 3-4 shows a week. Just trying to get my name out there and trying to get more notoriety behind myself. And it was definitely a very humbling learning experience going to that style. I've loved that style since I watched the old UWFI, the old All Japan, some of the old New Japan stuff, like just the Japanese style. It's a beautiful form of professional wrestling, and I just love that style, like the hard hitting style. That's definitely, if you've seen some of my matches, that's definitely my style, and I tend to veer more towards that now, just because I do it all the time, and I just love it.
From a wrestling standpoint, obviously, it might be a little different with you involved in it. How fun is it to be part of something like Forbidden Door and get New Japan in front of some different eyes and get AEW in front of some different eyes as well?
I think it's a good joint mutual thing that we're doing. Like you did mention, there's a lot of AEW fans. A lot of them do follow pretty much every art, every form of professional wrestling. But then there's also a portion that doesn't know Japanese wrestling too well, whether it be any Japanese wrestling or let alone New Japan. And then the same goes and vice versa. There's a lot of fans that are in Japan specifically that are just huge New Japan fans or huge Japanese wrestling fans that don't know the American side of it, except with the exception of WWE. So it's good to have that nice crossover. It's like a cross promotion, and I'm liking the fact that it is getting eyes on both products on both sides of the world.
So New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, Forbidden Door is coming up Sunday, June 26th, but so many other New Japan Pro Wrestling events to keep an eye out for as well. If you're in Los Angeles, Ignition taping happening on June 19th. If you're in Charlotte, July 24th, High Alert is going to be happening there. In your career, Jeff, you're also a part of Ring of Honor. You're a former world television champion for Ring of Honor. So when they decided to kind of shut everything down, were you glad that it eventually found a home and that Ring of Honor is going to be continuing at least with pay-per-views in the meantime, and that legacy is going to continue?
Definitely. Ring of Honor played a huge part in my career. I had a good, nice year and a half run with them, and I got to meet and learn from some of the best minds in the wrestling business. Guys like Delirious and Jay Lethal, learning from them. Because when you think of Ring of Honor, Jay Lethal is definitely ranked. You could put him in your Mount Rushmore of Ring of Honor if you want. Some people do, and just learning from him was such a fun time. And even before my time in Ring of Honor, Ring of Honor definitely played a huge factor in like professional wrestling as a whole. They had some of the best matches that I've witnessed, not firsthand, but like through DVDs and the streaming service and whatnot. So I'm happy that Ring of Honor has a platform that they can showcase some of the newer stars, and at the same token, hopefully we'll be able to see some of the old stuff as well. So, if it's a streaming service, and that'd be great, because I'd love to go back and watch some of the classic matches of Ring of Honor.
Jeff, who is your best friend in the business? You got a lot of travels up and down the roads in the Indies and also in New Japan, a Ring of Honor. Who's your guy in the business that you like to talk to, that you rely on, kind of lean on?
I think it kind of changes throughout. I guess it depends on where I'm at or where I spend most of my time. When I was starting out in like Bay Area, California area, when I was starting off in Hawaii, I had my little circle of buddies out there that I still talk to this day. When I moved out to like the West Coast, California, I did a lot of traveling with JR Kratos, who's on New Japan Strong, as well as Timothy Thatcher, who was with NXT, and then now he's with I don't know how long he's with, but he just debuted on Noah. So those are my those two, and also Dave Dutra. Like those three were like my riding buddies. Like we would always go up and down California from Sacramento, drive 6 hours to LA, do a show, turn around, right back, and then I had a day job at the time, so we'd do it on a Sunday morning, leave at like 6 a.m., drive down there, do a couple of shows, turn around, drive right back Sunday night, get back around 2 a.m. and then go to work the next day. But thank God I don't have to do that anymore. But those were good times. And then and then when you go over to like New Japan, you tend to kind of float towards the other gaijins, if you will. So it just all depends on the setting. But I still have my good friends to this day where if we don't contact on a daily or a weekly, whether it be monthly, it's still like there's no time has passed. So yeah, I still got a good core group. I won't say who it is now because that's just for office purposes. I won't say that, but yeah.
Oh man, you're with the homies at GKW. You can say it. You're not gonna break the news here. No one's listening. It's just us.
I'll let you guys know as soon as when we get off the air. Like, but yeah,
unbelievable. Kayfabe to the end.
In terms of wrestling, Jeff, your style is so unique. Just your size, your speed. It's not something you often see from guys. Who are some of the guys that you watch either coming up or when you were learning that you said, "Hey, this is something I sort of want to be like in the ring"?
Well, when I was younger, I loved like Hulk Hogan got me into wrestling.
Okay.
As I got a little bit older and closer to start training, I definitely loved the way that Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig used to just, do everything, like wrestling, selling, just moveset. Like he was really cool. So like early on in my career, like if you find some old Hawaii stuff, I did a lot of Kurt Hennig stuff. With a little mixture of Kurt Angle and Taz as well. So those were the three. And then when I moved to California, my trainer out there mentioned you should check out like Gary Albright stuff, some Japan Vader, where you're just like clocking these fools in the head. So he's like, yeah, watch those. I'm like, well, I don't really want to be doing that. But definitely like Gary Albright was somebody that was really cool because he was another bigger dude, but he had an amateur wrestling background, a very, very, very prolific amateur wrestling background, and he was just suplexing fools left and right. And I saw that and I was like, that dude's cool, man.
So, Jeff, I've mentioned you're one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champs. You are a former ROH World Television Champ, former Never Openweight Champ in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. You've had a lot of great experiences. What else is left on the list? What other dream matches do you have, opponents you want to face?
On a selfish level, I definitely want to face Shingo Takagi again. A lot of people liked our match from 2020's Wrestle Kingdom. He said a lot of people said it was just like big meaty men hitting each other, which was true. But it was for the Never Open Championship, which I wanted back. Unfortunately, I came out on the short end that night, but I definitely want to fight him again. And with the G1 coming up, which is pretty cool because they announced some of the they announced the whole field. And looking at it, there's some new guys that are coming in that I haven't had a chance to fight in the New Japan ring. As soon as the card was announced, I already got tagged in a ton of stuff. And everybody's like, well, we want to see you and Jonah wrestle in the New Japan ring. And there's been a few teases on some of the New Japan Strong stuff. And, I don't make the blocks. So, but the only thing is I mean, hopefully if we're not in the same block, then I guess we'd have to fight in the finals. And if you remember last year, I went 8-0 in the G1. And, but although Okada did beat me in the final day, that's another one that I want to run back again. I need another match with Okada.
Jeff, for those that have not seen this, could you tell everybody about the experience of being in Japan, in which that wrestling's front page news, just like baseball is in that country, where you have all the media that's covering it like it's the NBA Finals or like any other sport in America? Can you just give us context of what that's like, the coverage of Japan for what you guys do?
It's great because we have support from not just wrestling magazines, but also from mainstream media, whether that be TV shows, the news. In fact, on my flight about 2 days ago from Japan to St. Louis for AEW Dynamite last night, on the flight there, they had New Japan as one of the choices you could watch on one of the TV shows. It wasn't a live one, but it was from a few months ago, and it was pretty cool. Like a couple months prior to that, I just so happened to look on the TV on one of my flights that I was taking, and it was myself and Okada from the Tokyo Dome. So I mean, it was cool to see. So that's when you have the support of not just the wrestling niche, the little bubble of wrestling magazines or online wrestling articles, when you have the support of newspapers and TV shows and Japan Airlines, a big airlines in Japan, then you're doing something right, where they're seeing it not just from an entertainment standpoint, but from a sports perspective as well. And I really appreciate that, and I love that. I love that aspect of it, of being in Japan for that reason.
You've mentioned social media a couple of times, people tagging you, one to face FTR, one to face Jonah. We talk about the negativity on social media a lot, but what are some of the positives from your perspective as a wrestler to having social media and fans having such access to you?
I mean, it's definitely pros and cons. Definitely the pros is you get to meet a lot of people that you sometimes wouldn't meet on your shows alone. There's a ton of like New Japan fans that aren't in just mainland or in America and Japan. You've got some people from like Asia, from Europe, that you don't get to see on a regular, but you can still interact with them, and you can still, they could still reach out to you and send you, whether it's a positive or negative message. And usually, and I'm very grateful and thankful that a majority of them are positive messages. Usually the negative ones, I kind of just don't even bother with that. Because it can be a very toxic place, and then you just go down this rabbit hole of arguing with somebody online. That's kind of silly. So I mean, I got better stuff to do in my day. I don't want to be yelling at somebody
Exactly.
across the world, who could be real, who could be not, who has in their profile picture is Sasha Banks. So am I arguing with Sasha Banks? No, I'm arguing with so, like those kind of things, like I try not to get sucked into the negative side. I love to focus on the positive side, and just hearing from like fans from where I don't, unfortunately, like, if a fan from Portugal messages me or sends me, like, tags me in something, the chances of us meeting are very, very rare. But in that brief interaction, if I can give that person some sort of positivity, and I'm all for it.
New Japan Pro Wrestling coming up, Los Angeles, June 19th. That's coming up this Sunday. Ignition, July 24th. They're going to be in Charlotte for High Alert. And, of course, Forbidden Door featuring AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, Sunday, June 26th. He is one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions, a member of United Empire. Jeff Cobb, thank you so much for taking your time and joining GKW tonight.
Don't be wrapping the interview, man. I got a lot of questions to ask. I don't even find out what's going to happen
right here. This
Forbidden
one,
Door.
he hasn't got no questions in, man.
I got all these questions. 50th State Wrestling in Hawaii.
If we have time.
I mean, oh, man.
You can get some rest. Enjoy your night, Jeff. You can get some rest. You travel a lot.
Hey, I'm all your guy. I'm all yours until you tell me to get off the air. So,
well, here, let's throw one out. I got one more. It's part of the 3 count. Tomorrow night on SmackDown, a guy you've held tag team titles with, Matt Riddle, competing for a world title. Is Matt Riddle going to be a world champion tomorrow night?
You know what? That was my tag partner. We were tag champs at PWG. I'm going to go ahead and I'm not a betting man, but I mean, that fool can go in the ring. So I'm gonna go with the new champ.
Okay, look at that.
There you go.
Breaking news.
Calling for a new champ.
Yeah, man. And good for him, too. If that's the case, at least he's in the mix. That's what I like, Jeff, that he's in the mix. He's worked hard. He's on a nice platform. Hopefully it works for him.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I always support my friends. And, regardless if we're on the same company or a different company, it doesn't matter. That he's my boy. I'm going to support him no matter what.
Hoodie, you have, is that the last one? I know you've got the legal pad.
Right. Jeff's going to come on with this again, and I'm going to hit him with the 50th States Wrestling and the Rock's mom. We'll talk about Hawaii wrestling. We got a lot to talk about, man. That's all right. Jeff, next time we'll get to all this stuff in the bottom margin here. We'll get to all that stuff.
Or why don't we give you at least one? At least one.
There you go. We'll get one more out.
One more. Throw one more at him, J Hood.
Oh, okay. Well, I do want to ask about wrestling in Hawaii, in that scene. I do have a book in my library down the hall here about 50th States Wrestling and how important it was for the state, Rocky Mayavia's, the Rock, his mom, running the organization. What do you know about that? And what's the wrestling scene in Hawaii?
Is that the one that was written by Ed Francis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Ed Francis. Yes.
When he, it's a funny story. When that book was published, myself and one of my other friends in the Hawaii wrestling scene, we were at the grand debut of it at a luncheon. So I got to meet Ed Francis, and Russ Francis came down. So it's pretty cool to see them. Me personally, I didn't know too much about the Hawaii scene when I was younger, just for the fact that I only knew WWF. And then whatever I went to the store, I would buy WWF magazines. And then at the same time, I would also buy like Insider Wrestling or PWI, anything I could find that was wrestling, like I would spend my money on, and I would just buy them. So I would read about things, but I didn't know about the local scene when I was younger. My first interaction with the local scene was in, I'll say like 2000, when I moved back to Hawaii after I graduated high school. And I saw that they had there was an NWA affiliate at the time. There was a NWA Hawaii, and they had a local show on like public access or something. And I would catch it every now and then. And then because of that, I wanted to start training wrestling right out of high school. At the time, it was a guy named Lars Anderson was running was running the training, and he wanted $3,000, and I had to pay it in full. And I was like, I'm just an 18-year-old kid out of I was 17 at the time. I was a 17-year-old kid out of high school. I don't have $3,000 to my name. I don't even have $300 to my name, let alone 3,000. So that kind of just killed my dreams to be a pro wrestler in 2000. But I mean, I guess it all kind of lines up. But yeah. So I mean, throughout the years, I know from 2000 on, it was kind of in a mid to lower. It was kind of fluctuating a little bit. I know with that NWA affiliate, they brought in guys like Chono and Liger and really, really big names. They brought in Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. So they had some big names coming into Hawaii. They didn't really advertise too well. So these shows had these big names, but they only had maybe 200 people. So it was kind of rough. When I started training in 2000, at the beginning of 2009, there were 2 companies in Hawaii. There was the one that I stuck with, and then there was also still that NWA affiliate kind of sort of. But that one, they were doing shows in front of nobody really.
Wow.
And at the time when I started training, they were in a growing phase as well. My first show where I worked security and did ring crew, we had about 15 people. So, and then it started going on an upward swing. So by the time I left Hawaii to move to the mainland USA, I mean, we're averaging 200 to 300 a show, which was a big climb. And then on our bigger shows that we did twice a year, at a nice little ballroom community center kind of thing, we do 500, 600. And we still would have good people coming through. We had a bunch of Dragon Gate guys, I know Shingo, Sema, they all came through. Dragon Gate would stop in Hawaii, coming back from when they were doing Dragon Gate USA stuff. So they would stop in Hawaii for a couple of days, pick up a booking, and just relax on the beach. So that was pretty cool about that. And then as of now, there's one company in Hawaii running, and because of the pandemic, it kind of derailed they were on a good little upward swing. Interest in pro wrestling in Hawaii was coming back up. Pandemic hit, kind of killed it a little bit. So they just ran their first show last month. From what I saw and talked to people, it was a sellout. They're doing a little bit smaller arena, trying to get their feet on the ground running again. And hopefully I'll be able to make it out there for a show or two, just to kind of help and give back a little bit, and give them. I mean, I don't want to say I want to give them a rub, because I mean that's kind of I don't want to say it like that. I don't want to sound egotistical.
Yes.
You don't want to say it. We can say it. You would give them a rub. I mean, you're one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to give back and help out if I can. So if that opportunity arises and I have time in this crazy schedule, I would love to go back and help out as much as I can.
Jeff, it has been a pleasure. I, for one, really hope you find a way onto that Forbidden Door card, even though, as you said, it doesn't matter. You're going to kick some ass anyway. Doesn't matter who you're going up against. But we certainly appreciate the time. Look forward to talking to you again on GKW.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks, man.
Again, Jeff Cobb. Check out New Japan Pro Wrestling. Again, if you're in Los Angeles, coming up, they're going to be there this Sunday for an Ignition taping. July 24th, they're going to be in Charlotte.